Meow, my friends. Chaos has clawed its way into the heart of Africa as M23 rebels pounce on Goma like a cat on an unsuspecting mouse on January 27th, 2025. These feisty felines of conflict seized control of Goma, a crucial city in Eastern Congo, faster than you can say here, kitty kitty. This isn't their first rodeo. They briefly held Goma back in 2012, but this time they're not playing around. They're here to stay, like that hairball stain on your favourite carpet. Picture this, a city of over 2 million people, now overrun by rebels faster than catnip at a feline rave party. Goma, once a bustling hub for humanitarian aid and trade, has become the world's least desirable tourist destination overnight. The United Nations, in their infinite wisdom, has described the situation as volatile and dangerous. Well, give that person a Nobel Prize for stating the obvious. Meanwhile, over 400,000 people have been displaced, turning neighbouring towns into the world's least fun music festivals. No bands, no food, just a whole lot of misery. The M23, led by the charismatic Bertrand Bisimwa, because every good rebellion needs a poster boy, claims they're just looking out for their Tutsi pals. How thoughtful of them to do it with guns and chaos. It's like saying, we're here to protect you, but first, let's burn everything to the ground. They're playing a game of Congolese Monopoly, collecting territories instead of properties, and they've just landed on Goma, the boardwalk of Eastern Congo. Now, let's talk about Rwanda, the neighbour who's been accused of backing these rebel kitties. They deny it harder than a cat denies knocking over your favourite vase. But rumour has it they've sent between 3,000 to 4,000 troops to join the M23 party. The Congolese government is hissing mad, calling Rwanda's alleged support a declaration of war. Because nothing says good neighbour like backing rebels in the country next door, right? Rwanda, of course, maintains its military presence is purely for security purposes. You know, like how I sit by the treat jar for security purposes. Let's not forget the humanitarian crisis unfolding faster than a cat chasing a laser pointer. Aid organisations are pulling out quicker than a cat from a bathtub, leaving displaced residents without support. One local resident, Lucy, told us, "We are in our beds because we are afraid. We can hear the shooting outside our homes. We cannot leave." Well, Lucy, I'd say that's a perfectly reasonable reaction to finding your city turned into a war zone overnight. It's about as comfortable as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. The capture of Goma didn't happen overnight. It was more like a slow-motion game of geopolitical Jenga, where one wrong move could topple the entire stack. On January 21st, the M23 rebels seized the town of Minova, cutting off a major supply route to Goma. It was like someone unplugging your opponent's controller mid-game. Not cool, but effective. Now, you might be wondering how we got here. Well, my friends, this whole mess started way back in 1994 when Rwanda decided to play a deadly game of who's who that spilled over into Congo faster than a knocked-over milk carton. Since then, it's been a non-stop party of violence, displacement and mineral exploitation. Speaking of which, Congo's mineral wealth is attracting more vultures than a roadkill buffet, with everyone from rebel groups to multinational corporations licking their chops. It's like catnip for warring factions. They just can't resist. The international community, as always, is deeply concerned, which in diplomatic speak means they're furiously typing strongly worded emails. The United States and France have acknowledged the fall of Goma and urged their citizens to leave, because nothing says we've got this under control like telling your people to run for the hills. It's like a game of musical chairs, but instead of music stopping, it's basic safety and security. UN peacekeepers in Congo have been about as effective as a screen door on a submarine, with 13 of them recently killed faster than you can say Blue Helmet Special. Their presence has done little to alleviate local grievances, and rising anti-UN sentiments signal widespread perceptions of inadequacy in protecting civilians. It's almost as if sending in a bunch of people with guns doesn't automatically solve deep-rooted ethnic and political conflicts. Who knew? The various armed groups in the region are like a litter of unruly kittens fighting over the last bowl of milk. You've got the M23, the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, FDLR, and a whole alphabet soup of other groups, all scratching and hissing at each other. It's a tangled ball of yarn that even the most determined cat couldn't unravel. Now, let's talk about the economic impact of all this feline fracas. The conflict has sent food prices skyrocketing faster than a cat up a tree when it sees a cucumber. Local markets are in shambles and trade routes are disrupted. It's like someone knocked over the entire economic Jenga tower, and now everyone's scrambling to pick up the pieces. The Congolese government, led by Foreign Minister Thrus Kayakwamba Wagner, has been yowling at the UN, demanding action against Rwanda. It's like watching a house cat trying to intimidate a lion. Admirable, but probably not very effective. The situation in Goma is far from perfect as the city finds itself in the clutches of rebel paws. Hospitals are overwhelmed, treating more casualties than a cat has lives. It's a catastrophe of epic proportions, and the world seems to be watching with all the concern of a cat watching a television. Now, my friends, if you're feline generous, why not subscribe to our channel? It's the cat's meow of news coverage, and you'll always land on your feet with our updates. It's guaranteed to be less painful than actually visiting Goma right meow. As we wrap up this tale of woe, let's remember that while we're sitting here, safe and sound, there are millions of people caught in the crossfire of a conflict that seems to have no end in sight. It's a game of cat and mouse where nobody wins, and the cheese is actually landmines. The capture of Goma is like the first domino in a very dangerous set. The regional implications could be catastrophic, potentially drawing in neighbouring countries faster than a cat to an open tuna can. It's a delicate balance, and right meow, it's tipping in all the wrong directions. So there you have it, folks. The situation in Eastern Congo is about as stable as a cat on a hot tin roof. Will peace ever come to this troubled region? Or will it continue to be the world's most dangerous game of territorial tug-of-war? Only time will tell. Until then, keep your claws sharp and your whiskers twitching for the latest updates. We'll return shortly with more updates. I'm Ron de Parmesan, and this has been another Newscat special report.